Susan Live. I come here to chat with you every Friday at noon. Thanks so much for being here with me live, everybody. I see you down there in the chat. And yeah, so I'm Susan Morgan Taylor. I'm a sex therapist and specialist in women's sexuality. And every Friday we go live. I answer questions. I shoot the shit on a different topic. And I want to really pick a theme for the next few weeks of what I'd like to start to focus on. So as you're tuning in or going through past videos that I've shared with you, think about what kinds of things would you like to learn about sexual vitality at midlife and beyond. I've got a special announcement for you today, but for the next few weeks, that's going to be our theme. And let me kind of tell you what I've got for you today. So, coming next week, I have a free masterclass that I'm going to be teaching, and I would love to invite you to it. So, if you're a woman at midlife and you're ready to defy the cultural narrative that women just dry up and shrivel out at midlife, I really want to invite you to join me for this. So, what I'm going to be teaching during this masterclass are the 3 secrets to rock your sexual vitality, own your turn on, and guarantee pleasure at midlife and beyond. So, this masterclass is really for women who would like to learn about maybe some non-hormonal fixes for some of the challenges that we face are things like lack of sexual sensitivity. So I'm going to be sharing with you some things that you can do that have nothing to do with hormones, or taking pills or products. And I'll also be sharing with you a behind the scenes, never before told story of how one embarrassing moment in the bedroom that happened to me about 6 or 7 years ago, how that really led me to discover these 3 secrets. And so I'm going to be sharing with you these mindset shifts that you need to make. They're very simple, but really critical if we want to not sort of take on that narrative that, our sexual vitality is just over at midlife. In fact, it can get better. And really where I like to focus is how do we get in charge of that? And how do we not become dependent on pharmaceuticals, or how do we not become dependent on really expensive products that we have to be on for the rest of our life? So if you've been struggling with some of these unpleasant changes, if you're a woman, maybe you're experiencing things like that, waning sexual desire, dryness, challenges with sensitivity or reaching orgasm. Maybe you just like miss that sexy part of yourself. Like things have changed. It's probably, if you're in an intimate relationship, my guess is that might be impacting your intimate relationship, maybe negatively, and you just want to get back to that part of yourself. You're probably feeling frustrated or confused. I know that so many products and things get thrown at us women as solutions that it can just get absolutely overwhelming around like what works and what's this, and like WTF is actually going on down there. Can somebody please just tell me what's happening sexually and why? So we'll be talking a little bit about that, but also if you want to I do have a free resource on that. If that's the main question you're asking, you can get my WTF guide that answers that question for you ahead of time. That's over at susanmorgantaylor.com/WTF. You can get that there, or just join me next week for the free masterclass. So yeah, if you're worried about how some of these changes are impacting your intimate relationship and you want to know, like, how do we become an outlier? So this is really something that I know for myself is really important, that I don't want to buy into that narrative that I'm just going to shrivel up and dry out just because our hormones do change. And I also don't personally want to be dependent for the rest of my life on an external solution. So I'm going to be sharing with you these 3 secrets that were game changing for me and how you can make those shifts as well so that you can really get empowered in owning your sexual vitality at the midlife transition and well beyond. How do we stay wet, juicy, orgasmic, and sexually alive well into our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond? Yes, it is possible. And I'm going to be talking with you about how to do that. So I'd love it if you'd like to join me for that. In the best way, I will be back on here with Substack. I'll be, probably making some posts for y'all. But if you'd like me to contact you about that directly, so you can just get in ahead of time and get the notifications instead of, jumping on Substack to get it, you can drop in the comments right now the word masterclass, and I will get that to you through private message. Or if you want to shoot me a private message, just shoot me a DM and then I can get that to you right there privately. So I just love seeing everybody here live. It's so great to see everybody tuning in. And, in the meantime, again, our theme for the next I don't know, let's say the next month, it's going to be sexual vitality. I'm kind of focused on women at this moment, but that doesn't mean that men are discounted. I actually am going to be having a guest expert on. I'm going to start doing a series called a deep dive. I'm looking to have that happen on Wednesdays. I'll get back to y'all when I've got the time dialed in. Um, but the deep dive is where I'm going to have an expert come on and talk about a different aspect of really anything we want to shoot the shit on. I'm a sex therapist. I love to talk about sex, sexuality, pleasure, desire. All that stuff is wonderful. But I'm also interested in going off the cuff and maybe venturing into some different topics. So I want to know what you want to shoot the shit about. And well, I'll be having a guest on in a couple weeks, and we are going to be talking about a couple weeks ago, I did a live around the lady pump. We're going to be talking about penis pumps. So I've got the CEO of the company, the Joe Kaplan company, who's really, I think, the best on the market out there for the pumps. He's going to be coming on and joining me for a Shootin the Shit deep dive, and we're going to get into all the nitty gritty around penis pumps, and I'll share my experiences again with the vulva pump, the lady pump, which is something like that I didn't even know was a thing until last year sometime. And so it's really an awesome thing to know about. And I really want to normalize the conversation. I think we really need to like de-shame. There's just so much out there that shames our sexuality. There's even very few platforms that I can get on with you as I am right now and talk openly about these things. I get, the shadow banning is real. Sex educators like myself, we really get censored and have a very challenging time getting our message out. When really what we're wanting to do is empower you and educate you, because I really believe that when we're empowered in our sexuality and when we have some resources and we start to remove the shame and normalize the conversation, the world is just a better place. Somebody jumped in the comments. I think it was when I did my live if y'all were with me last week when I did my live and I was talking about oh, we talked about sex positions and I was talking about scissors position and here's where you place the pillow. And someone literally jumped on me like, the world's about ready to go to World War III. And how are you, wasting your time telling people where to put the effing pillow? Well, listen, because the world needs more love. Literally, if we were having satisfying, fulfilling sex, do you think that we'd be going to war so much? Like, really think about it. So that is my mission. I am here to spread love, peace, love, sex, and not war. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you where to put that effing pillow so that you can be more relaxed, so you can get more pleasure, so you can have more enjoyment from intimacy. And nobody teaches us this stuff. We kind of go into our adult lives just kind of, either we get it or we don't. And really, like, there's skills that can be learned, and there are solutions out there for those of us, all of us at some point or another hit roadblocks. We all have challenges sometimes in the area of sex. And just because I'm a sex therapist, I am no exclusion to that. So I have lived my own story. The reason that I got to where I am today, doing what I'm doing and being passionate about educating, counseling, and coaching other people around sexuality is because I struggled in that area. I came out of what I would really classify as a sexless marriage about 16, 17 years ago. That marriage ended, but for 10 years, I was really trapped and really found my way out of that and really blossomed into my own pleasure and discovered I actually did have sexual desire. I actually do have a libido and a very strong libido. It was absolutely dead when I was in that relationship. And so as I started to uncover that and started to kind of peel away the layers of the onion around what was contributing to my lack of interest in sex, I really discovered that, it's really about us taking control and taking responsibility for our own pleasure. And I know where a lot of us get frustrated because people have asked this here. It's like, what do I do if it's my partner? She is not interested in it. No matter what I do, I can't get her to want it. And so how is that my responsibility? What do I do with that? That's an exceptionally frustrating situation. And I think it's also a really, really valid question to ask. But what we do with it is this is what's real. And so we have choices that we have to make. If that's the situation that you're living, it comes down to what are you going to do about it? Have you had the conversations? Have you sought outside help? And maybe that if the sex part is so important and your partner's simply not at all willing to work on that with you, there's a bigger problem there. it's two people that create the sexual relationship. It's not all just one person. So if everything's extremely one-sided and all the burden is put on one person, that's where we really need to get down and have a conversation going and getting two people on the same page and understanding that it's a co-created experience. And so that's really where it's time to reach out and get some support. Sex therapists are everywhere. Sex coaches are everywhere. You can find them out there. There's very good ones. I'm one of them. I'm not saying you have to reach out to me, but what I want you to know is that help is available and we don't need to be ashamed of it. Okay? So yes, but we are responsible for our own enjoyment, our own pleasure, and the experience that we're having. So at the end of the day, it's what am I going to do with this? And am I going to resource myself, educate myself, try something new, get curious? If we want something different badly enough, we're going to take the time and energy to invest in creating something new. And that was the case for me. I wanted something so different for myself so many years ago. And I realized that it was not my partner's responsibility to bring pleasure to me or to give me orgasm. All right. Orgasm, pleasure, and love are things that exist naturally already inside of us. And literally, it's a matter of just uncovering what's already there. It's getting the debris off so that we can naturally and more easily access those inherent states within us. So, that's where, big change happened for me. And I became really passionate about wanting at the time, really focused on women's pleasure, women's sexuality, because I am a woman and I know what it's like to be in those situations where you have just no interest in sex whatsoever. And I know how frustrating that can be for a partner as well, to be with a woman who's like, I don't ever want to have sex with you. It's just checking a box. So when I realized what was really true and how to access my own pleasure, and I found that pathway within me, I became very passionate about sharing that with other women, helping other women find that same pathway that I had been able to find. Now, I did not have a lot of help or support at the time. This was sort of a self experiment that I was doing, and I just ended up really opening a whole beautiful area of my sexuality. Also, at that time, this was back in 2011. I was in graduate school getting my master's degree in professional counseling. So I already knew I was going to go into the field of therapy and counseling, but there was a very clearly defining moment. It was in my first or second semester of graduate school where I had this experience, this awakening within myself, and I knew I wanted to specialize in sex therapy. So I've been at this for a very long time, for over a decade, and I don't teach anything that I don't practice myself. So I've walked the walk, I'm walking the walk, and I do the work. So that's a little bit about me for those of you. I know that we're still just getting to know each other here a little bit. And yeah, so I just want to say thank you so much. So please, drop your questions, shoot me a private message, or drop one. And we have a chat thread going as well that you can drop topics in there, things that you're struggling with, things you'd like to hear me speak to. How can I support you? Let's make this a conversation. And then, of course, tune in for the deep dive series coming up. That'll be happening on a periodic basis throughout 2026. I'll be bringing on other awesome sexperts and other people just with neat ideas. So we're going to have fun conversations, and we'll be doing those live with you as well, so we can really get your interaction and get your feedback. But in the meantime, next week, enrollment is opening up for my free masterclass called The Empowered Ascent, where I'll be sharing with you those 3 secrets to rock your sexual vitality, own your turn on, and guarantee your pleasure at midlife and beyond. It's really geared, this is really for women, for women's pleasure and women's sexuality. So I do hope you'll join me for that. I'll be putting more details. The enrollment's not yet open for that. It's opening on Wednesday. But if you want me to contact you directly, just drop in the chat down below the word masterclass and I'll shoot you a DM, or you can send me a DM directly. And then I'll be able to get you the details directly. But I will also be posting here in my Substack. So stay tuned for that. Would love to have you join me for that. It's going to be a great experience. And there will be opportunities also, by the way, at the end of that class for live Q&A with me. I'll be on live. So there's going to be several dates and times to choose from. There's not going to be a replay of it, but several dates and times to choose from. So show up with me live. I'll be interacting with you live. And it will be all kept private. We won't have your faces on screen, or it'll be kind of like how we are now. I've got a different platform, of course, that I'll be teaching on, but it'll be like that. Your videos will not be on, so you'll be private in that way, but we will have a chat. So I'll be fielding questions there during those live master classes. All right, everybody, I hope you have an awesome weekend. And thank you so much for joining me for Shooting the Shit with Susan. Now go get it on.